Okay, so thank you, Young. We're going to have now our featured presentation. I think it goes without saying, Mike and I have known each other for a long, long time already. We are in the same field for a long time as well. We've been trade finance bankers. He actually reports now to my ex boss at Bank of America, to one of my ex bosses at Bank of America. And when I told him about Apprentice Worldwide, Mike jumped because not only is he passionate about business and helping people out, he's also passionate about non for profit and helping people from other cultures. So I'll let him first tell us a little bit about him and what he's doing, and then start right into our presentation, which is how the world moves. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Hernan. I appreciate that introduction. So a little bit about myself. As Hernan mentioned, I've known him for several years. He used to be at Bank of America. I'm still at Bank of America. And I am in the international trade division at Bank of America. So specifically, I talk to top leadership at different companies all day and help them import and export and figure out what the best options are for them in their particular situation. So I cover about 20 states, mostly in the Midwest and the Southwest US. And some of those names include Ace Hardware, Maui Gym, Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, all of the Bass Pro Shops, a lot of those types of companies that are constantly importing and exporting come through me, and I manage that relationship. On a personal side, I have 5 kids. You might hear them because it's dinner time and they're enjoying dinner, and they may come in here and interrupt us. But for now, it's all good. Oldest is 16, and the youngest are twins that are 4. So I love being a dad, and it's probably the best part of my day. So besides that, when I told Hernan I wanted to speak to the team here, he said, well, what are you going to talk about? I said, well, international trade. And he said, that's hard to cover in 15 minutes. It's like taking King Kong and putting him in a Volkswagen. And he's absolutely right. There's no way to cover international trade and do it justice in 15 minutes. But I did want to cover the methods of payment. Some of this may be familiar to everybody. And if you want to talk about it more, we can obviously set up a time afterwards and I can chat a little bit more with you about this. But I wanted to kind of outline in our time together the different ways that people get paid and the different types of arrangements that sometimes that people will have between buyers and sellers. And it's not just buyers and sellers usually in a transaction. There's buyers, sellers, middlemen, logistics companies, and everybody in between that wants to get involved in these types of transactions, mostly because it takes everybody to make something happen. But rather than focusing on all the regulators and all the logistics companies and all of that definitely are involved, let's just talk about buyers, sellers, and banks. And so specifically, the type of transaction that you would set up between the buyer and a seller totally depends on the amount of trust you have with that person and the concern you have that you will or won't get paid. So, for example, the riskiest situation for a seller is something called open account. You may have heard that term. It's basically where the seller ships whatever it is they're selling to the buyer and says, "I'll send you a bill for it later," and they expect the buyer to pay that bill later. Of course, that goes without saying why that's risky to the seller and not as risky to the buyer. On the flip side of that, the other extreme would be cash in advance. So the seller says, "I'm not going to ship you anything until I have all the money, and then I'll ship it to you." And hopefully, the buyer gets what they ordered, and it's not damaged or broken, or they actually get what they want. So those are the two polar extremes, polar opposites. In between there are different shades of gray and different products that banks come in to offer to their customers. And depending on the amount of trust and how many fees they want to pay, or one big category is something called a commercial letter of credit. And a commercial letter of credit is an arrangement where a bank, the buyer goes to their bank and says, "I want to buy from this supplier in this country, And that buyer's bank will issue a letter of credit that basically says to the seller, as long as you can get the goods on the boat and meet all of these other criteria, then you have our bank's promise that you will be paid. And of course, to the seller, that's a pretty good arrangement, because being able to have a promise of not just your buyer, but your buyer's bank saying, we promise to pay you as long as you can meet the terms of the contract, that goes a long way. And often the seller will take that commercial letter of credit to get financing for whatever it is they're going to produce. That's not always the case, but they sometimes can do that, and will sometimes arrange that because they have promise to pay. So that's a commercial letter of credit. A cousin to commercial letters of credit are something called document collections, and it's really taking it's a similar document flow in that when the seller ships the goods, the seller will also send those documents to their bank sends it to the buyer's bank, and the buyer's bank says to the buyer, I have these documents for you to be able to collect these goods that you just ordered, but I won't give them to you until you've paid for the goods. And of course, the buyer can walk away from the transaction, and they can also decide to pay for it and get the documents and clear the goods. The big difference between document collections and a commercial letter of credit is with document collections, there's no bank promise to pay. The seller is still waiting on and expecting that the buyer will pay for those goods. If they shouldn't, then the seller still owns those goods. I had a customer not too long ago that sent about $400,000 worth of soybeans to Singapore. And the buyer in Singapore decided they didn't want him because they got a different price, a better price somewhere else. And so the seller all of a sudden had a situation where they had to find another buyer in Singapore or send those soybeans somewhere else to get sold. And that was kind of an interesting situation, because every day that those soybeans stayed on the dock in Singapore, they were being charged basically a storage fee of $1,000 a day by the port there in Singapore. So those are the different types of things that you run into, and some of the risks you take with letters of credit as well as documentary collections. Just checking the time here real quick. I think I have time to explain one more thing, which isn't a commercial letter of credit. It's something called a standby letter of credit, or outside the United States, it's called a bank guarantee. And it's basically kind of what it sounds like. It's a situation where the buyer will go to their bank and ask that their bank issue a letter of credit that basically says, hey, if this guy doesn't pay you, we will. And that's really kind of the condensed version of it. It's called a standby letter of credit in the U.S. and a bank guarantee outside the U.S. But those are very helpful to help the seller feel comfortable that they're going to get paid. It doesn't help the buyer out at all to issue a standby letter of credit. In fact, it can be a very expensive thing to do. The largest standby letter of credit I've been involved with is $175 million. And that's something that we're still in the process of doing. So it's a big deal, and we're happy to make that happen. But they can also be for very small amounts. So let me just kind of pause there for a minute. I know I'm getting close to the amount of time that I said I'd take. But Hernan, is there anything that any gaping holes that I've left there? Obviously, there's 12 different flavors of each of those types of transaction types that I didn't share, and we didn't go into any great detail. But anything that you would add, Hernan?
So I think it's important, Mike, that you share the fact that you are a trade finance banker is a conflict resolution banker, right? Because what happens is, think about it. The buyer wants to pay later, right? And the seller wants to get paid today. So you're already, as a trade finance banker, you're already immersing yourself in a conflict, right? So what you're trying to do is for the seller to get paid ahead of time, while the buyer pays later, right? And try to work mechanisms to allow for these things to happen. So this is the beauty of a trade finance banker. The other thing, so that's what Mike does, right? Mike immerses himself, he's either the banker of the exporter or the banker of the importer, and then he's trying to negotiate, or the banker of the bank. There's also such thing, which we call correspondent banking. So based on what hat he's wearing, he provides different solutions, right, to make the process of exporting faster, easier, more cost effective. And he does that with tools that the bank has. But it's not only with money tools; it's also with process tools like digital, like taking ERP systems and combining them with payment information, taking global documentation and putting them in a place where people can negotiate these things. And the beauty of what Mike does is that we know that there's one thing you cannot digitize. I don't know about you, but I cannot put a digital shirt on, right? Or a digital hat on. I look kind of awkward. So we're going to always require this solution around the world, because if not, we'll be walking naked all over the place, and we don't want that. The reality is we need stuff from one place to another place, and Mike helps the companies that do that make that happen, right?
It's hard to eat digital rice too. I mean, there's a huge industry around agricultural commodities, and those are a lot of my customers as well. So absolutely. So hopefully that's been helpful in terms of a high-level overview. What I didn't talk about tonight is the whole industry of supply chain finance, which is where Hernan talked a little bit about the buyer wanting to be paid now, or the buyer wanting to pay later and the seller wanting to be paid now. That's not just an international trade thing. That happens within a country, and within, that's very much alive and well, and that's a huge part of receivables and payables finance. And there's not just banks that do that, but there are other financial institutions and quasi-financial institutions that step in and provide financing for both receivables and payables. So happy to chat more if you're interested. If not, totally understand, and appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mike. And we'll stop the official part of the presentation, and maybe when we record it, we'll just put stop and then play. But I do want you to talk about the non-for-profit work that you're doing, helping families learn different languages.
Okay, thank you for the option there, or the opportunity. So I'm fluent in Spanish. Para mis amigos hispanohablantes, pues mucho gusto. And so one thing that our family is doing is we have a program where we help families that want to learn English match up with families that want to learn Spanish. And we provide guided language exchanges, and we arrange the curriculum and materials to help provide opportunities for people to practice their language, right? There's a lot of families that speak English that want to learn Spanish, and a great need for other families that want to learn English to help them do that. So if you're interested, check it out. Learnwithmelanguages.com is the website. Once again, learnwithmelanguages.com, and you can get more information there.
Excellent. Great timing. So Mike is doing great things again, and he's a global mentor in Charlotte, but he's always around to talk to any of you guys whenever he has time as well. You can connect with him in LinkedIn as well, by the way. So Michael Babbit is his name. So just type it on just take the advertising that we put, type it on LinkedIn. I think he's the only Michael Babbit that I know, at least. Have you found another Michael Babbit?
There are a few out there, and believe it or not, there's a few on LinkedIn. But I'm obviously the best looking and the coolest.
He's also modest and a liar, one of the two. Okay, guys. Okay, so thank you, Mike. So we're gonna go right through, the final part of this of these internships experiences, which is where there's two things that we'll discuss. We gave everybody material. The topic for today is discipline. I'm just going to highlight some of the things that the videos talk about, and then I want to hear something from you guys about the importance of discipline. But before I do that, if you can look at your Zoom and change your name and put after your name, put the city where you're in. That will be spectacular. While I talk a little bit about discipline, okay? Um, so we've talked about many things in the past couple of weeks. Last week, we spoke about emotional intelligence, which is how do you act in certain situations, particularly what we're looking for as executives in younger individuals is that they have emotional intelligence, right? So emotional intelligence, we spoke about it last week, but goes hand in hand with the topic for today, which is discipline, right? And nobody likes to hear the word discipline because discipline means, oh my God, it's so boring. I want to have freedom to do whatever I want. But discipline is the key towards business success. When I tell you it is the key, it means it will save you times and headaches, whether in your own business or whether you're working for somebody. So in the videos which I shared with the team, there was a talk about why we need discipline, right? Why we need discipline. What is discipline? What is self-discipline? And the ingredients for success. But today I want to talk about, the benefits of self-discipline, which are it helps with achieving success. It helps you appreciate life a little better. You start believing more in yourself. It builds confidence. You improve relationships by having discipline, right? It improves your personality. It gives you mental clarity. It helps you go off your addictions. So if you're disciplined, and you're having some troubles, it helps you. It inculcates good habits. It leads to a healthy lifestyle, right? So if you eat at a certain time all the time, and you eat a certain thing, you're successful in that area of your life. What are the bad things that happens if you don't have discipline? So the first one is, if you don't have discipline in your life, it can take you in a path of self-destruction that it is hard to take you out of, right? So this is important. You want to avoid being undisciplined because it can lead you in wrong directions, right? It also makes you feel agitated. You're constantly being criticized because you don't do the things that you're supposed to be doing. So you're constantly criticized. So it affects your self-esteem, right? And your self-confidence. You become a pessimist, right? When you're not disciplined, the world is always dark. You can have poor health if you don't have discipline. And then most importantly, if you're a professional, lack of productivity. When they say that people that are older, it's not that they know more than you, it's that they lived more than you, which means that they know, not only all the good stuff that you know, but also all the bad things because they've seen a lot. So if you're being unproductive, trust me, they at some point were unproductive. They know when you are being productive or not productive, right? These are things that you need to take into considerations. So how do we build discipline? Okay, let's think about this. The first one is, and this is one that I love, is take stock of your weaknesses. Look at the stuff that you suck at, that you're not good at, right? This is important. This is important because when you know what you are not good at, you're able to identify ways to improve that. So what's mine? What is my my Achilles heel? There's two. One of them is time management, right? I'm always going nuts about my time. Therefore, this is what I study the most. This is what I listen to podcasts the most because I know that I tend to overextend myself sometimes. So I am trying my hardest still at my age to manage my time more effectively. Saying no to people, sometimes saves me. But I want to say yes because I'm a nice guy. But if you say yes all the time, you become undisciplined. Then you might do something that affects your productivity. No. The other thing is come up with a plan. Right? How many of you have written plans of what you do, of you want to do in your life? So those of us that came through the orientation, right? If you came through the apprentice orientation, you filled out a questionnaire. That questionnaire, if you haven't filled it out, that questionnaire will be recorded and kept in confidence with me in our folders. But it gives us an opportunity to have dialogues in the future. 2-3 years from now, believe me, that if you're stuck in a certain area, right, you can see this and go, oh my God, I haven't done this. Or you can see yourself going, okay, what I set myself to accomplish, I'm doing it. Right? It also, when you're disciplined, you know, you stay committed. Like you could have done anything at 8 o'clock every night, but you're here, which shows discipline, shows commitment. And look what you learn. You learn about you learn about each other, different countries, about trade, all because you took the time to set it aside for this, and you do it without me having to call you. Yeah, I bug you a few times during the day, but the reality is everybody or mostly everybody is here, which is really really good. Self discipline. I don't have to be the one after you for this. You show that. Um, you come up. Another thing with discipline is you're always, if you're waiting for somebody else to give you a reward to feel good. When you're disciplined, you will see your own rewards and you will be happy. So one of the things that I worked on, you've probably seen me. If you see me last year, you wouldn't have seen this guy as he is right now. So I lost 60 pounds since January 2020. So I don't like it, but I eat, basically the same thing every day. And I'm eating, egg whites, I'm eating salad, I'm eating shrimp, and I'm eating around 500 calories per meal. So, and now I'm walking 3 miles a day. I couldn't have accomplished it. And by the way, I tried many, many years. But if it wasn't because of the pandemic and me saying, you know what, I am going to be disciplined, and now is the time when I'm not out eating in restaurants every time. Now that I'm dealing with restaurants, I'm eating a little better. So I still continue going to a diet group to do that, but that's allowed me to be disciplined. So many, many benefits. Let me give you an example of disciplined people. So who knows Arnold Schwarzenegger? So did you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger, before he was a movie star, was Mr. Olympia and hold the records for the most Mr. Olympia, right? He was the heavyweight, the strongest man in the world, Mr. Olympia, for many, many years. That's how he got his first gig in Conan the Barbarian or in the original, Terminator movies because of his physicality. But, he learned English. He had the discipline. He used the same discipline and concept of waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, doing 5 hours of training every single day to become Mr. Olympia. He used the same techniques to become the governor of the state of California. Also, to be a movie star. So the same disciplines that he learned early on, he just switched and did them again and again and again in that area. Michael Phelps, right? Record breaking swim star, right? The Olympics. Michael Phelps, again, eats a lot and he needs it because he's swimming every single day of his life. He's taking breaks after he wins the Olympics, but he goes back to it. The Serena and Venus Williams, right? Warren Buffett. What do you think he is? a multi-billionaire because he has a disciplined practice of investing. So I could use example Jack Ma, Steve Jobs, right? You know these people. They did the exact same thing for many, many years, didn't stop, and then you accredit the success to luck. It's not luck. Believe me, it is discipline. Okay, so that it's 9:01. It took a minute longer. I want to stay on time, maybe a couple of more minutes to listen to examples of discipline that you put in your life or what you're learning as a disciplined practice in the last couple of weeks or in the last year. So anybody want to share what they have, what disciplines they have in their lives, and how this is impacting your success? How about I pick on Beatrice from Brazil.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So one example. So basically, I am not very good at economics. So I started my college year in 2020, October, and I saw economics as something kind of way out of my league, something that I couldn't learn. But my teacher, he approached it in a different way. He showed how we could apply something that could look really out of our reality and apply to it. So when he started doing that, I started searching for news and connecting what he was doing, what he was saying, the concept itself, and I started to understand what that really meant. So I took that as, because I was really kind of unmotivated. I spent most of 2020 not studying, just English itself and nothing else. So when you start doing that, I started to get more disciplined. I started thinking, okay, maybe if I want to learn this, it's not my specific area. It's not something I'm familiar with. So I'm going to go after that and I'm going to bring it to my reality. Because I mean, now I know because of how I'm studying it that even it doesn't matter which area you're going to work in, if it's going to be something towards social sciences or any other area, economics, it's important. So you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to know how that affects your day, how that affects your life. And this is something that, at least in Brazil, we're not taught in high school or school at all. So you basically have to go after that. And so that's what I've been doing. And it really helped me get a better grasp of how that affects my reality. And that even though, like I said before in one of the meetings, since I'm not going to work in the specific field, I'm going to work with a lot of people that do that. So it's important for me to know how they think, how they work, and how that work works so we can connect better, so I can network better. And so when I need help, I already know people that I can go to. So that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Good job. So I'm going to pick on, I guess I'll pick on Mike since he hasn't talked much in Ecuador. Mike? I think Michael, you there?
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
So talk about discipline. What do you do?
Personally, I try to be disciplined in most of the things I do in life. There's one very specific thing I've seen. I love dancing, and I realized that sometimes passion is not enough to keep on doing something. For example, I have an Instagram dancing account. So for like a month every week. And at one point, even if you love doing something, you'll drain out. And it takes discipline to brush it up and get to doing. And yeah, that's something I really, really like dancing, and I feel good when I do that. And it also takes a lot of time management because I have a lot of things going on, and then there's this moment during the day in which you don't really have to do something, but you have things that you could be doing, and then seeing out of all those things that you could be doing is overwhelming. And then I personally commit the mistake of just laying down and living my misery. And then that's the moment when I can just completely forget about everything, and instead of thinking of the things I could be doing, just put on some music and get to dancing.
Excellent.
Then apart from that, I also working out, like what I've been working out for 3 months, and that's something I'm very proud of myself, because I've been to the gym like 3 times before, and I got 4. And that's great, because this time is the time. I have been very disciplined with that. Of course, I have had some times when I just couldn't make it, like 1 or even 2 days a week. But then I have this, I'm thinking that if I'm not gonna be there 2 hours at least to finish everything, then it's not worth going. Even if I go for just 1 hour or 1.5 hours, that's pretty much it, as long as I just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. I mean, it's like me. I thought I was gonna be able to lose weight without doing exercise, but it doesn't work. You have to. Yeah, you have to do something, at least walking. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You don't, otherwise I'd be eating, like this all the time without exercise. And like this, I would die. I couldn't move. So exercise is so important to complement what we're doing.
Actually, yeah, it's those two things are very important. And for me, it also takes discipline to eat, because, like, as I am telling you, I have a lot of things to do during the day, and sometimes it's easy to forget to have good breakfast. So I am just touching the line for being underweight, but I have to gain weight, and I have to eat like a lot of food. Like, I'm already used to eating a lot, but my metabolism is really fast from my mom's side. So even though I love eating, I still have to push myself to eat more and at the right time.
So you just gave me an idea, and that I think we're going to talk about that in another session. I want to talk about nutrition and eating correctly to be successful, to understand what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, and then how to avoid, in social settings, how to act when you're eating dinner with people from work, or eating lunch, or when to drink, when not to drink. I think we're gonna do that. I saw a lot of yeses. I think that's important, because sometimes you don't know how to eat, what to eat, when to eat. I think it's and how this. If you don't do this, it impacts everything else. Your business, your personal, your mood, and you want to be at your peak performance when you're at work. No. So good idea, Mike. You just gave me that. Thank you. Okay. I didn't hear from. Who did I hear from? Tanya. I see you. Anything you want to share about discipline?
I guess, yeah, I would also go with working out. So I used to be such a lazy person, like literally my entire life. I did not want to be active. I loved staying home, such a homebody. And then I guess that all changed and when I put a goal for myself. So that helps me to just stay disciplined, because motivation is not always there. I do wake up sometimes and I just don't want to move. I don't want to get out of bed. But I told myself, for example, I mean, that varies, but like now my lifestyle is I have to go to the gym every day except I have one rest day. And I decided which day I will have my rest day. So I don't have a choice, but I have to go. So that's just what I told myself. So either I start my day like that or I end it like that. But for example, if I have a work day, I told myself, oh, you have to wake up at 6 a.m. And I'm not a morning person, but in order for me to like get up so I can go to the gym and go to work, I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to get all of this done. So even though I'm not a morning person, I get it done anyways. So these are just things, I guess having a schedule, having a goal, all those things help me to stay disciplined.
Excellent. Good job. You're doing good. Okay. Who wants to share anything about just a final thought about your internships this week? Anything you want to highlight that you learned? I know the people that are working with me are having dialogues with real life people. If you want to share a little bit about that, that'd be good. I know Muskan emailed me the other day. Falak, what do I do? Nacho, are they answering me? So how is that how's that as far as real world experience?
So I've been working with Hernan in his financial services company, Worldwide Financial, and well, we ran into a situation last week which was kind of curious because I was being asked to work for a company, well, to do some research for a company, right? But as part of the company, maybe as an intern directly for the company. But I was like, well, I thought I was Hernan's intern in his company. So it was kind of funny because he told me this story about they like that they didn't want to pay any attention to me because I don't know if some of you don't know, but I'm just 17 and I don't really have like a university education yet, but I do have some field experience, sort of saying in a way. Uh, so they sort of looked over my head and said like, no, he's not worth it. But now they sort of they want to work with me. So now it's like, well, in this situation, you have to put your cards on the table and say, well, if you want me now, you have to do something to get me. So it's about what I learned is that you have to establish your value and how you want to be seen in the business world, right? You don't have to be disrespectful in any way, but you have to have attitude. You have to show who you are, right? So to have a little bit of nerve, what I learned last week mostly.
Yeah, how sneaky are these people, right?
Yeah.
That they by the way, this is and by the way, in our internship, if he gets a job, right? And we're gonna celebrate somebody in a little bit, but if you get a job, I don't care, right? You're not gonna backstab me or anything. This is what I want from you to succeed. But the reality is, look at the difference, right? When they see you as, and I had this dialogue with Moscan and Falag as well. When they see you as just being a freelancer, they treat you like a freelancer, basically disposable, right? If they see you as their consultant, their relationship manager, working for somebody else, trying to help them, the mentality is now different. And now all of a sudden they see your value as an executive, and you can command a greater pricing. So instead of getting paid $5-10 an hour, you can get paid a salary of $70,000-80,000. That's more than $10 an hour. But what I'm saying is, this is something that you have to understand. What is the value? Sometimes, by the way, I do tons of things for free, but like for example, I do this organization for free. But you know what I am doing is I'm practicing my CEO skills, how to deal with people, how to manage a business, right? I can transfer these skills to a company and they'll value them, and I continue practicing them. So even if you think you're not doing much when you volunteer, trust me, you're gaining the same skills, which is an internship. You're gaining the same skills as if you were be working, but it puts you in a different position than somebody that's just begging for money. You understand? Because you're now turning into an executive. Put value into your what you studied, right? Have people respect it in a nice way, but in order for them to respect it, you have to show value. If you're like texting them, what do you think you're not adding any value? They're texting their kids, so they're gonna feel that they're texting their kids. This is another advice that I gave them is when you address people, yes, we have fun, we address each other in text, but this is only for follow-up and for quick, hey, did you get my email? Because what we want is to be formal. In a business environment, you need to recap what you said. So we finished the meeting. Hey, it was great talking to you. As a follow-up, I just want to make sure that we are agreed that these are the things that we wanted to look at, and these are the things that I need. I love talking to you. Thank you. If there's a misunderstanding, they're gonna jump and say, "Oh no, you forgot this. Oh, this isn't what we talked about." But if you don't have it in writing, yeah, they assume certain things. The other thing is, in a text, I don't know about you, but every time that I WhatsApp people, I can't copy somebody else to read the messages that were sent before. So guess what? If you need help, you can ask for help from a third party. Yeah, you're taking snapshots of something, but sometimes it's like this. I don't want to read 20 things. I wanted to read it with my own time, right? And when I'm more quiet. So the use of email is important, right? They also see you're a data analyst, you're an analyst, you're an associate. They don't see that you're selling hot dogs in the corner. And that's what it feels like sometimes when you're WhatsApping people that you're doing business with. So again, just these are the things that I have seen, right? Moscan, anything else? I know you had this call this morning with one of the execs.
Yeah, I think it's been really fun. I've been getting to like know the company and know the people. So like I just started out, and I feel like working with Hernan has been really fun because like it's like he points out these small little things which you wouldn't actually happen to notice, but they're like really important when you're like sending an email to someone or sending them the first message, because those things you might not be able to like you told me something in particular, like whenever you're like connecting with someone, make sure you put up your LinkedIn profile so that they can get to know you more. And like these certain small things that he's pointed out has really helped, because I feel like going forward, whenever I'm interacting with people, these are the things that would come up in my mind when I'm like having that first interaction. And that I feel is like really important. So it's been like really great just getting to know all these things and interacting with people. And it was my first time interacting with someone by myself, so it was fun. It was also a little daunting at the same time, but it went pretty well. So like there's a follow-up and everything happening, so I'm really excited to like continue doing that. So thank you, Hernan.
You're welcome. You know, it's funny because I told Moscan is, are you attending the meeting? And I went, no, I'm not attending the meeting unless you want me to attend the meeting, right? This is how we learn. My first boss, sent me on a plane to Venezuela by myself. I mean, I was like, what the heck? I've never traveled outside of the US. And, is somebody going to kill me there? He goes, no, just trust me. Do what I tell you. Right. And, that guy who's one of my mentors and my best friend, didn't know how much I learned by just the confidence that I built, the fact that I was able to go to this country, negotiate with people, be in the same tables with top executives, older people, and then come back home alive and repeat it time and time again. I got better at it, right? And now you can throw me in the middle of the desert anywhere and I'll find a way to survive, well, not everywhere, but you know what I mean. So good job. Falak, are you awake? I don't know if she's awake. She's probably sleeping already. At any rate, Charles, there's something you want to share here with the team?
So over this weekend, I actually got an offer to do an internship with Writer, and I'd be working with another global mentor as well, Ignacio. So I'm really excited for that opportunity, and really, really excited to see what opportunities come out after that.
I don't know about you guys, but to me, I think this is the jackpot, right? This is exactly what you do, which is, Charles went to our apprentice event at the cocktail party. Ignacio happened to be there. He's been part of these interactive. He see how he is, right? He impressed him. Obviously, he impressed me already because Charles wouldn't be here. But the point is that this is exactly the opportunities, right? He's going to be working for the largest company in Florida in the business intelligence unit as an intern. Talk about that, right? This is a big, big, big deal. I'm talking about people in Harvard and big universities wish they had the opportunity to work in business analytics with one of the largest companies, not only in the U.S., in the world, right? So I congratulate you, Charles. Good job. Big round of applause.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Thank you.
and I know, for everybody here, it's just an example. You guys, I tell you, take advantage of every little opportunity to interact with people. Let them get to know you, right? You are valuable, and if you don't showcase it, if you're afraid, you're here for a reason. All of you were chosen to be part of Apprentice for a reason. Just internalize it. Just look at yourself and go, coño, I have value, right? Don't get too cocky, right? Because then, you know, we start having arguments who's the most intelligent here, and it could be till 2025. The reality is you have value and you share it with the world, right? And every time you get an opportunity to help somebody as a way to give back, this is what we do, right? You get what you give, and it's a constant getting and giving, that doesn't end. So again, thank you, Charles. Congratulations, brother. Good job. Okay. It took a little longer, but I wanted to celebrate Charles and wanted to hear from you guys. Any questions? Again, Edward is not part of our global internship. He is already working, doing a great job, but he's part of Apprentice, a resource for you guys, a little older brother for you if you ever need some advice. And then Jenny is in Colombia. Carol is in Colombia, and they're always available. So thank you for the people from Colombia and Boston that came. Thank you, guys. And then thank you. And then the final thought is, I'm gonna wish you a great vacation. We're going on vacation, okay? I'm not gonna see you, and this is called discipline. If you drop, it's up to you. But we're not gonna be back until not next Monday, the following Monday. And by the way, I'm not gonna give you any homework, okay? I'm not gonna give you any homework. So come back with energy. If you have any questions, let me know. Remember to give feedback to Juan on the podcast, right? Being on vacation for you doesn't mean I'm on vacation. I'm still gonna do Apprentice stuff, and you're gonna see some of the things that we're doing. But as far as our global internship, let me know if you need anything for the next couple of weeks. But I think we'll come back in 2 weeks, and then we'll go to phase 2. Phase 2 is how do we impress the hell out of the mentors? This is my next goal, okay? You don't have to impress me, Mosca and Falak and Ignacio, Nacho. You don't have to impress me. How do we impress the rest of the people? What are we going to do to take ourselves to the next level? That's really what I want you to think, okay? And we're going to do that. A lot of it has to do with discipline. It has to do with, emotional intelligence. Most importantly is now forget about your resume, right? Forget about your resume. Everybody, I know the resume. No. How are you going to impress the people? So advice, Juan mentioned a little bit, maybe, think about how you can do a little video, and we'll work on that, right? Maybe your presentation, the one that we're going to present to these panels. Remember, I promised you that in the month of August, after we finish, I'm going to present each one of the ones in this internship program to a panel of people in your industry. Okay? So I am going to do that. That's everything that I say, I follow with an action. So I am going to put you in a panel of executives in your fields, whether it's entertainment, music, whatever. I'm going to do so. But you're not going to stand there and go, hey. No, You're going to talk about yourself, what you did, what you learned, and do it in a way that's going to blow their mind. Okay. I hope you can do that. I know you're going to do that. Okay. Any questions? Oh man, you guys are easy. Have a good night. Good morning, Moscan. I hope to see you guys soon. Ed, thank you, brother, for joining, and the rest of the team. Call me if you need me. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you so
night.
much, Hernan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Pórtate bien.
Bye, guys. Sorry, bye, Hernan. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Ciao.